Hey y'all, Peter Bros Golf Show, back at it again for another week. The week of the players, the 50th holding of the Players Championship. I'm Rod.
And I'm Marcus.
Man, we'll just kind of get warm. Ask you again how your week went this week.
It was good. It was smooth. It went by faster than I expected, but that's not always a bad thing. Um, Definitely skirted the weather. I felt like we were about to get hammered, but ended up not being that bad. So yeah, I don't have any complaints, Rod. How was your week, boss?
Not bad. To be honest with you, it actually feels like golf season now. I don't know if it's just the combination of the players being a really good tournament this week. It's greening up here in North Texas, so that makes it feel real. You know, we got some green grass on the ground again, and playing conditions. You know, global warming and all that jazz. Feels like we're getting greener earlier than we have in past years. So for it to be March and I got rained out Saturday, but got 8 holes in on a pretty damn green golf course. So that made my week not too bad. So I cannot complain.
You got rained
How's
out?
it? Oh yeah, it was pretty damn bad. Um oh,
Hmm.
thank you. Yeah, it was pretty bad this past weekend for us. We can make a few adjustments here. There we go. Thank you for the heads up, sir. Um, so yeah,
Hmm.
that's the thing about spring here in North Texas is that the rain can how it is down in Houston early in the season, but wind and rain are pretty heavy here these next month or two.
Yeah, we're getting rain right now, actually. It was supposed to be like a shutdown, but you know how Houston does. Sometimes it feels like I want to actually rain, and then other times it's like I thought I was gonna rain, then I'm chilling. Like that was supposed to
Yeah,
be our weekend. It was supposed to be literally 70% chance, 90% chance, 90% chance. And then it went to like 20% on Friday. Then it went to like 15% yesterday after like raining at night. I mean,
yeah,
seriously, like we were on delay, but for lightning, not even for actual rain at our course.
yeah. That's
But
what
now we
ended up
were
shutting us.
CPO and everything. Oh,
Yeah,
really?
that's what shut us. That's what shut us down. Is I was on the eighth hole. We were on this green. There's a little uh lake to the right of the green, and
Mm-hmm.
they had a utility shed on the other side of that. The lightning came down. I mean, right on top of us. So we
Oh
scrambled,
no.
and then the course blew the horn. So we were out of there. So yeah, I took a rain check and gonna play the same course again this coming Sunday. But yeah, man. And I had a pretty decent round going, so that was disappointing. But finding some
So
things in the swing, so it is what it is. But let's get into this players deal, man. Let's run some of these highlights from today. We're probably gonna get a copyright strike on this, but I tried to break it up as much as possible here. So let's
yeah.
see if the YouTube gods help us out.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
That lip out was just carrying too much speed.
Wow.
But Scottie Scheffler is the 50th Players Champion.
360. Looked in the
Just
entire
tell that
way.
disappointment
Never
from.
thought it was missing.
Either did Wyndham. And the first to go back to back.
I'm gonna pause right here. So in any tournament, you can always go back and find a couple shots that you look back and you're like, I feel like that's where the tournament was won or lost. And
Yeah.
I felt like for Schauffele, he had a couple of holes. I think it was 14 and 15 today. That I think for him, he needed to keep pushing. Scheffler was a handful of holes ahead of him, and I don't know if he was scoreboard watching, but you could tell the frustration started to set in for Schauffele.
Yeah.
Had a bogey, had a wayward drive where he ended up in a fairway bunker, slammed the driver down on the tee box. You could just tell that the man was getting frustrated. And in our show notes, I put out there that could this be a career transforming win for Schauffele, right? Honestly, he is really good. He's a workman's golfer. He
Definitely.
does everything really solid, drives the ball, iron play, putting, all very solid. But is it elite on the PGA Tour level, professional golf level? What did you
Yeah.
think of that? Going into the round, did you feel like that could be defining for him?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I felt like for either him or Wyndham Clark, this could have been a defining, really win. But like, I guess more so for Shoffley, it was a more defining win. For Wyndham Clark, it would have been more of like a stamp of like, yes, I am legit because he already
Mhm.
won twice now. So this would have been weird. Win number 3, the 5th major. So of course, the players would have held it in high regards, and then of course, the Golf Channel people definitely hold this in high regards
Well,
because they've been trying to elevate it themselves for a
yeah,
while.
four
But
for four for Clark. Got the Wells Fargo last year, the U.S. Open, Pebble Beach earlier this year. So this would have been
oh, that's
four.
right.
And I feel like people were questioning Clark's validity, just because the Pebble Beach was shortened. You're always
Yeah,
going to have doubters out there. So I think this would have been kind of that seal of approval that he belongs in that tier. I still think very highly of where he's going and what his game is going to show up as in the future. What are your thoughts on? Well, let me ask you a follow up question for the Schauffele deal. Do you
yeah.
think he is elite?
I feel like he is. Mm, I feel like. Oh, that's tough. I feel like yes, he is, but it's inconsistency. He is an elite, consistent player. Now, he's not an elite winner yet, but I mean, dude is still in his like early 20s, mid 20s at worst. So I think, I mean, honestly, when your first tour win is the tour championship, it's kind of like big big shoes to fill for the pretty much the remainder of what you got going on in your prime or your lead up to your prime. So, I mean, unfortunately for him, like he put himself in a situation where a lot of stuff was going to be flowing. But I mean, the dude's got a gold medal, the dude's got a tour championship. So, I mean, it's tough to like bet against Xander Schauffele. I mean, and he's so consistent. Like, I mean, you saw it right then and there. Dude still shot an under par round. He just didn't shoot 8 under, and Scotty came and got him. But it's a tough one to like. Hmm, I don't know, Rob. That's a good question.
I know I was having some signal issues there, so I think it still is a tough question for Schauffele. And like I said, you see the talent is there. I want to pull up his stats to see kind of how he fared this week compared to the field. I mean, ball striking, he's very much in the top 25% of ball strikers out there. Again, putting, he was eighth this week. Let me go ahead and pull this up and display this so everybody can catch a look at it.
Yeah,
So I mean, really, I mean, the stats are there. The man's not just bad in any area at all. Again, you can see strokes gained off the tee box, he's 18. Strokes gained approached, 14th. Around the green, 13th. Putting, he's 8th. Strokes gained total, when you put that all together, he's second. I mean, there's very few weak spots in the man's game. It's just when
yeah,
it comes down to closing it out and just kind of taking off from fields, I don't know if he has that next gear. I think that kind of leads into the discussion regarding Scotty. I mean, there's another gear that Scotty's got that, even with the neck this week and in pain it looked like going on from round 2 that he kind of battled through, that the dude's just got something extra. And now that we're harping on the fact that he's figured out the putting, who's messing with Scottie Scheffler at this point? Just
right.
elite ball striking, unflappable. I don't know, man. I feel like Scotty's that guy that if he's in the rearview mirror, I feel like people are now worried about him, and are they gonna get chased down like a track meet? Right? He on the
Yeah.
relay. Is Scottie gonna catch him in the last leg? What do you think about Scottie winning 2 weeks in a row? First player ever to win the freaking Players in
Back to
50
back.
years. First one to win it back to back. I mean, it's had a ton of winners, just a mixed bag of different playing styles, but he's the first one to get it back to back. What do you think of Scottie right now?
Scotty right now is, I mean, honestly, you got to put it into a meme. I mean, because everybody knows what it is if Scotty can even putt. So it's kind of like the name is really like it just left me. But the guy that played Breaking Bad, you see him yelling into the camera, he can't keep getting away with this. Like Scotty cannot keep getting away with this, where he is a mediocre putter, but everything else is carrying his game to where, the clutch factor is very much so instilled in him. Like that's what I was thinking when we were talking about Xander Schauffele. Like the NBA has a metric, right? They have that clutch factor, the clutch minutes and things like that. I think the PGA should find a way to get that in the analytics. Like the final four shots of each round, what is your birdie ability rate? Or what is your game like coming into the home stretch? What is your average in that four-hole stretch on any given course? Are you an under par player? Are you an over par player? Like, what is your game looking like as you come home? Not just in the final round, but in every individual round. I feel like that should be a stat, like your strokes game, like it, and it could be just like another strokes game metric. I mean, because really, it's just based off of what you did to even par. So you're telling me they can't find a way to, calculate that? Because when it comes to that, you just saw it right there. Scotty has the clutch factor. He might be that next great player to
Yeah,
where when the nails need to be hit, who is putting it on it with the hammer? And I think it's Scotty because right now, I mean, the dudes he gets in people's rearview mirror and it's just like that, just like you said, he zooms right by him and they don't have anything to say about it. They just got left because again, what did we see? Wyndham Clark, 69, 3 under par, didn't matter. Xander Schauffele, 70, 2 under par. It doesn't matter. The guy shot 64 and ran away. Well, not run away with it, but he came and got it, probably 5 groups ahead of him, 4 groups ahead of him, because he's 3 holes. So, he went out there and set a number. And I don't know, Scotty is really that problem right now. And I mean, proven once again why he's the number one seed in the world.
agree. So wholeheartedly with that. Um, I'm going down the kind of scores from today, and you got some guys like you said in the middle of the pack, 5 under, 6 under. Siwoo Kim was the only other player that had 8 under round today, and he shot up 18 spots. So kind of just
Yeah.
gunning for it. And Scotty, went into the round top 10. I think he's in the top 5 to start yesterday's round. Um, Shot 8 under, man. I mean that is clutch in the final round. Like you said, those final 3 holes. It would be nice to see that, and I think that goes back to the Wyndham Clark ending to his round yesterday. And while again
Completely.
it's just one hole, it's he's still got 20 or excuse me 19 holes to play. He plays 18 and then his full 18 today. But let's pull this shot up from 17 yesterday. Back slightly. Hey, cooperate. There we go. I mean, it's not even close. It's not like, I mean, there's a different angle. I mean, the guy didn't even really give it a shot. I mean, we saw he hit it back. They were really zooming in on the contact here, but that's all nerves, right? For a PGA Pro to hit half an inch behind the ball, coming into a clutch area of the course where you have to really just put it on the green, man. Somehow
Yeah.
figure out a way to get it on the green. And you saw the kind of, we know from the full swing stuff, he's been really kind of keying in on the mental side of the game. You saw that on 18 today after he missed that putt. You know, it's important to him. And you see these moments and these big swings and these roller coaster of emotions that you see coming out from Wyndham Clark. And I do, you know, now that we're more aware of his situation and how he's battled with that, you know, I start looking for it in the rounds when things aren't necessarily going the way that you want to. And yes, the man put it on the green on his third shot, made the one putt to save bogey, which is spectacular. But I just don't, it's like he shouldn't have even been in that situation in the first place. And so, you know, you wonder if it's physical, you wonder if it's mental, a combination of the two with Wyndham Clark.
Mhm.
But I would love to start seeing some kind of clutch stat. And now that we've kind of put it out there in the ether, we're probably going to see something. So we'll see,
Hopefully.
man. Hopefully. I don't know, man. I'm really impressed with Scotty and looking forward to the Masters now and his chance
Yeah.
to solidify who he is in the game. One thing that I do want to bring up from earlier on the week as well was that we're starting to see Scottie Scheffler make some more defined statements and just kind of putting himself out there in a way that we haven't seen in the past. And I'm not going to be able to play the Instagram clip, but it was a press conference of him earlier on in the week and just really speaking to the fractures in the game and really stepping out in a way that I have not seen from him as of yet, and just saying the live guys are the reason that the game is fractured. They chose to leave. We had a league going on and that they chose to go somewhere else, and that's their choice, and he's not going to argue against that. But he hasn't been willing to say things like that previously, and Rory has taken his step back. What do you think about Scotty getting into the kind of arena of commenting on important topics?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like well, I mean, we talk about this all the time. I feel like the media is very pointed with their questioning, and I feel like sometimes, the players don't even want to be put into the mix for that. So, when you're the returning champion host and they're going to be asking you all these questions, I felt like, at least for this week, he felt like he needed to be very, black or white. No gray area here, just lay it on out there. And I mean, as we already knew, that's what it was. And he said a very simple comment, and I appreciate him for that. It was very easy to follow what he was saying, and it was very simplistic. They wanted the money. Nobody's blaming you for it. Don't say anything else other than that, bro. We know what you went for. So just keep it that way. But when the fans are mad at us, they shouldn't be. They should be mad at those live golfers that went and chased money, because the best tour is here still, and the best product is still going to be here. And so when you want me to defend the tour and stuff like that, I don't need to. The play, and the history and the legacy of the tour has already done that. And I felt like that's what he was trying to reiterate. Because again, as the fans have cried about, I mean, what do we need to do? Well, I mean, obviously, we need to keep the tour together and have the best people playing on the same tour. But that's neither here nor there right now. So, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
I'm always excited about when the players come out and say what needs to be said, and not biting their tongues. And he didn't even say anything that was going to be finable or anything that was pretentious. So again, I felt like he said what needed to be said, and in a nice way. So whether you didn't like the tone or the curtness of the message was very straightforward, and I felt like it was a good one, especially going forward for what he has going and for what the other tour is trying to plan and recruit continually. So, yeah, I hope everybody's on notice now, especially as far as it goes with the tour and everything. Um, I think Rod is just going to be right back. But, I was thinking about it, and I was wondering, like, was there anybody that played this week that I just was confused about how they performed as far as results go? And, while Rod still gets situation, he is back and everything like that. I'll just go ahead and continue on. I mean, first of all, Justin Thomas, you know, I think, when you have a lot on your shoulders and you're, an ambassador for the PGA Tour, there's always going to be an onus on you to perform and succeed and always play at your top level. I think he outkicked his coverage this week, and I think he put a lot more pressure on himself. Excuse me, on himself that needed to be done because JT, you're a premier player, so we already know there's going to be a lot on you to win and prove that the PGA Tour is a place to be as far as young talent goes and your prime goes. So I think he did that to himself by missing the cut, and I think like players like a Tony Finau. Yeah, you made the cut. Yeah, you did some good, but this is your opportunity to, really put it on the forefront. Because it's just like what you said earlier, the players has been won by every stretch of the imagination of a player. There's not one big hitter that it predicates to. There's not one Tim Clark or Greg Chalmers or something like that that it predicates to as well. So if you can get the ball in the fairway and play these greens the way that they're supposed to and take advantage of the par fives, the long par threes, and make sure you're keeping it in play, then anybody has an opportunity to win. But yeah, I mean, it was just shocking to me about some of the results that we saw. What you think about that, Ryan?
Yeah. Yeah, I saw you mentioned Justin Thomas right off the top, and he came into the week kind of referencing the Taylor Gooch comments from a couple of weeks ago, where he said that there's going to be an asterisk on, certain victories going forward just because the tours are not combined at this time. So after
Right.
JT misses the cut, he gets a little subtweet from Smash GC, which is Taylor Gooch and Brooks Koepka's live golf team, and they are kind of talking about the little, put the scissor icon up with the question mark. So, the petty was definitely on display there. I don't know, man.
But it
Justin
was
Thomas,
corny to
especially
me
after
because they don't even have cuts.
it's true, man. I mean, it's so true. And things are, if it's going to be different, again, you're promoting that the league is different than just be different. So wading into those kind of PGA Tour waters and commenting on that, just super petty. And it's always interesting to know to try to see what's going on in the background as they've been Ryder Cup teammates in the past. If there's any
Right.
kind of underlying, or if it's all in good fun and whatnot. But yeah, man, I'm struggling with JT's game right now, and just again, maybe I feel a certain way after watching Full Swing and him essentially lobbying for his spot on the Ryder Cup last year, and it feeling like his game has tried to round back into shape, but not really. I'm kind of stocked down on JT, and like you said, quite a few other players that just really didn't come out and perform. Jordan Spieth was another that missed the cut as well,
Yeah.
um, and maybe I'm just kind of reading too much into the whole buddy system and PGA Tour being really it feeling real nepotistic right now, where who you're good buddies with is kind of how you get to move in this league. And we've gotten past the competition standpoint. Maybe I'm just annoyed by that aspect of it, especially as we get to see more in the background. But instead of putting people putting in the work and just going and grinding it out, I don't know. What do you think about JT's game as a whole and how it ties into now that you know more background information on what was going on last year?
Well, yeah, I mean, well, you could tell last year he was trying to, just make a push. I mean, otherwise he wouldn't have played in that last event in California or whatever, trying to get ready and stuff like that. JT, I mean, there's no excuses for him, just like there's no excuses for Rory. Buddy, it is no talking and there is no doing until it's done. So, I mean, all of the funny business and all of the talking it up means nothing now at this point until results are in. So, I mean, but that's the thing though. I feel like both of those guys are bottom line guys, and they're like, I'm not winning it. I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing to win it. So as long as they know that, I'm okay with what they're doing. And I think their game is trending the right way still. I'm still on the optimistic side of things. But yeah, I mean, they absolutely, both of them, both faves of mine, need to just, go ahead and shut it up, get in the room, get in the lab, dig it out in the dirt. I mean, I don't think neither one of them is going to be at the Valspar, but inside a month to the next big event. So yeah, I think that they need to take care of business, or else there's going to be a lot more said, and it isn't going to be in a polite way from either the golf media or playing competitors and things like that, or playing rivalries. Clearly, Liv is going to eat it up when both of them, shit the bed. So, um, more so than anything, I feel like that's the motivation right there. Um, and I feel like JT was speaking on that in full swing too. Like from the episodes that I saw, I didn't quite finish yet. I'm still halfway through, but I felt like JT at least spoke on that. He's like, "Yeah, we're homies. But when we get out on that golf course, like I'm trying to get cutthroat, like I'm trying to get in them pockets." And I feel like he needs to get back to that mode, or else we're not going to see 2022 PGA Championship JT anymore and things like that. So, you know, I'm on the positive side of things, but I definitely see why people question it and why they question JT or Rory or if they're ever going to win again. To be honest, seriously, because right now they're not winning and they're not making winning moves when it matters most. So I definitely see the questioning of them.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I'm sorry. My fucking internet is trash today. Um, what else did we have? I'm gonna let you. You want to go next, man?
Okay, well, perfect segue, I think. So Full Swing came out. That came out March 8th, I believe, something like that. A Wednesday or a Thursday, about a week and a couple of days ago, and it's been a pretty decent hit. I think that I felt like they tried to play more on our heartstrings this season. I felt like they let us in on the first season, but this time, like some of the relationships we saw, some of the inner dialogue we saw, I felt like it really not necessarily hit home because I don't really like I don't feel like I feel like I'm lucky and fortunate to have like no vices and things like that. I feel like I don't have anything that I can't drop at the head of the if needed. But like Joel Damon and his caddy Gino. I mean, you're dealing with a bunch of trauma from your childhood and leading into adulthood and trying to, maneuver the stress of it all and, clearly some type of depressive moments, even with a family, even with a kid on the way where you feel like a lot of the momentum should be happening where you're happy and stuff again. But man, it's I felt like it really had me a little bit more emotional, though. But like in particular, Joel Damon said he had a bad experience with a therapist or like a mental game coach and wasn't really, like for it. But then it was kind of like an intervention almost. So quick did his fam come in and his close friends and Gino and let him know that it doesn't matter what's going on in golf if you don't feel all right. So for them to wholeheartedly push him to get help and make sure he's speaking to somebody about his problems, I felt like that was one of the biggest steps he can make. And I felt like clearly dude tried to make that step back. But Rod, what do you think about this so far? Excuse me. What do you think 4 seasons in for 4 episodes in for Full Swing this year?
I've watched the whole thing, so I thought it was. I'm consistently impressed with the level of coverage that we're getting in the background. It's very fascinating to me. It's like looking at things when you see things from a different angle than that original kind of cleaned up perspective that we get to see on TV, and
Yeah.
finding out those stories and just kind of really sometimes confirming what you kind of know in the background, but then you get to see a 45-minute episode that really digs in on that one particular topic. And I think the focus this year was a lot more pronounced than it was. I think they were trying to squeeze a lot into season one. Really, this
Yes.
year there was, we saw the review of the stories from last year, with, like you mentioned, with Joel and his caddy, which is very touching. I think healthy male relationships should be more celebrated, and seeing two dudes that
Absolutely.
clearly care for each other and have become brothers, outside of blood. Pretty damn touching, honestly. And hopefully, getting to watch yourself on TV in real time as you're struggling to play, the game that pays your bills, has got to be hard, or it's very introspective to go through it, kind of know what's going to be put out there. So I've really enjoyed the series, and I'm sure Netflix and PGA Tour are really cleaning up from it, because it is an impressive product, and I hope they continue it as for the foreseeable future. I think it's got a different spin on it versus like NFL's Hard Knocks, which can feel, I don't know, it's always like the worst of the worst, but feel like we're getting good stories out of players that are doing well versus people that are
Right.
begrudgingly going into this. And, I think people always
Agreed.
talk about personalities and not getting to see PGA Tour Pro or just pro golfer personalities. I think it's still cool. I don't know if I may have missed you saying this, but we said this in the background. Claude Harmon feels like he's a douchebag. I did not like that dude from what I saw. So
I didn't
I
like
would
it.
just wish he would stick to coaching golf. So anyway,
Yeah, there's some people that should stay in the background, and I feel like Claude Harmon should for sure. You're not even the most famous Harmon, but he's got him a nice house. He's done the work, but this is one of those times where people that are in the background should stick in the background. And I get it. You got to defend your guys, but bro, like DJ and Brooks definitely are very fun loving guys that we like anyways. There's no reason for you to feel like everybody's making them enemies and things like that. DJ came out immediately before anybody was talking about why you went over. DJ was very forefront and very honest and said, I thought it was the best move for my family. And again, this dude is a perpetual winner on the PGA Tour. I'm not saying his career is on the descent, but I will say that he's won a lot of the things that he wanted to win. He's been on a winning Ryder Cup team. He's won the Masters. He's won the U.S. Open. He's won a lot of premier events on the PGA Tour, and he made money, and he made more money. And then he still has time to be a dad, still has time to go home to Paulina Gretzky. Because again, if you're anything of anybody, then Paulina Gretzky is worth coming home to. So now seeing her on Full Swing and seeing how clueless she was on some of these moments, like did you one of that swing where DJ ball ended up not lost, but like it was left or something, and she was like, "Did what happened? Did you see what happened? Was that Dustin's ball? Um, did it? Is it bad?" Like, Paulina, you've been married to DJ for a while now. I think you should kind of honestly know what's going on here. He pulled it. He's in the bunker, and he'll be all right. But that's not necessarily something that I should be harping on. But
Yeah.
ugh, that kills me. Like that's a pet peeve of mine. Oh my god. But I think yeah, I think it showed a human side of Rory too, because Rory was very out there, and I think like one of those caddy meetings, the PGA Championship caddy meeting, where he was cursing and the cursing was bad. Like I feel like he was generally frustrated, and he didn't hold back in front of the camera. I felt like that was dope to me. But I mean, that's what Rory is. We know Rory for his honesty. We know Rory for always being, an open book about what's going on, and he makes sure to word it and uses the correct verbiage. So again, he did a very good job of that, and I think that's why I'm still very optimistic of what at least what Rory is doing, because Rory has spoke on it. Rory is like, yeah, I know I'm good, but I just don't feel like I can win. Like when they hit that when they went in and he was like, dog, I'm thinking about rebuilding the whole swing. I I just don't feel like I can win right now. Like I feel like I'm good, but I feel like I'm just that good, but not good enough to win. Like when you get into hard hitting conversations like that, that's something to talk about. Don't get me wrong, you know how exaggerated and animated we are, like right after the round and stuff. So he could have been a little bit dramatic. He could have been a little bit on the over dramatic side, but I don't mind him, really thinking it all out and being like, well, do I need to retool? Do I need to go somewhere else? Because I mean, he's been with Michael O'Bannon for forever. Like, I mean, it feels like
Yeah.
a decade plus, 15 years or so, pretty much since we've seen him on tour. So, I mean, who is he going to go to? He's not going to go to like a Butch Harmon. You know, maybe he goes to Peter Cowan or something like that, another famous European coach and stuff like that. But that's what I think so far on Full Swing. And, hopefully we get a chance to go through and, speak on it again next week once I finish it off, because I'll definitely have more time to get that concluded and everything.
Yeah, yeah, and hopefully next week I can get my internet game together and we can kind of talk more comprehensively about it. So, um, just because I don't know how this is coming across, I'll let you lead. If there's anything else that you want to touch on before, I don't want to hit on the equipment stuff just because I can't rely on my internet to give me my windows that I need to present. So we might kind of tuck that away
Yeah.
for next week. Anything else you want to hit on before we kind of close out for this week?
Um, you know what? That's a good so how you brought it up in the beginning, how you thought kind of like they were trying to get Scotty to be more honest and, see what his opinion was on a lot more things. I don't mind him stepping forward and being kind of like the leader of his generation or whatever for this golf class and stuff. But who in the game right now, just kind of spitballing right now, who do you think would be a good look going forward as far as like not necessarily the face of the tour, but somebody that can answer questions for them, Like, for instance, we always had before his rep change. We always had Insider Trader. He was very honest. He was always very forefront and, at least likable on the surface as far as what the tour was trying to do, what he was trying to do, and a likable guy. So, what do you think about that, Rod? Who do you think, as far as your likes
Ooh.
and the people that you follow, that could step up and be like, oh, well, this is what I think the PGA Tour is going. And then Jay Monahan be like, you know what? What he had to say, it makes a lot of sense. You know what? I'll go with what he had to say. Instead of somebody where he's like,
I don't know.
I don't know if he speaks for everybody here. That might
That's a
just be
good
something to think
question.
on.
Do you think that? Let me ask you a qualifying question. Do you think that person has to be American?
No,
Okay. So if that's
no.
the case, I do have somebody that in mind that I think is super likable and has really, I guess, inserted a level of kind of gravity here lately. And it's out of the box pick, but it's Shane Lowry. I feel like he's just this big, affable, lovable guy that I think it's hard for people to dislike him in the locker
Right.
room. And honestly, he speaks his mind. And I've seen him really kind of, he's had some spots where he could really um, be very forthcoming. And I've enjoyed hearing his voice. I listened to a clip from Peter Malnati, who's a current, player director, and the way he speaks just doesn't give me confidence that the guys that are in the
Thank
back
you.
rooms right now have that voice. I just don't. I just didn't get any inspiration from him or confidence from hearing him talk about the situation in the background, like saying, "Oh, players, should have a voice, but not necessarily be the ones that are stepping up." And I was like, I get what you're saying, but the way you're putting it together really doesn't make sense. So for me, Shane Lowry's that guy that I've really enjoyed listening to lately. Who's your person?
Very, very funny you brought up Peter Malnati because I had already forgot how on the fence he was about that whole statement when we were talking about that earlier this week. When they went through and they asked people, "Do you want to answer this question live on TV?" How can you step forward to the camera and a very pointed question, again, as we've talked about before, a completely pointed question where you get to guard and aim where you want to go with it and still blew it, dude, please. But yes, Shane Lowry very, very, very much so answered the question the correct way. I mean, and then he's been on Smiley Kaufman's two Strixon guys, two Cleveland golf guys. He was on Smiley Kaufman's podcast recently, talking about what
Okay.
happened with their shots over the water, and caught him on the hot mic calling himself a effing idiot and stuff like that. And, he got called into the office and, you can't be on the hot mic. And, he got fined and he was like, no, I get it. Like, I 100% get it. But who's to say I'm not going to do that again? Because you know me, I'm very myself. So if something else bad happens, you might catch me on the hot mic again. And then Smiley Kaufman, he snapped his club over his leg, and they called him in and fined him
Yeah.
for that. So just a way for them to bond, and also just off on a tangent briefly, I like the direction of where Smiley Kaufman is going. He has found him. He has found a lane for himself. He is, again, what we would refer to as the perfect former slash trying to play still player, because anybody but Colton is killing it right now. I kid you not. Like, everybody but him is really doing something that I can get behind or I can understand or even like. And then they convinced Kevin Kisner to put on a suit with the tie and have it buttoned all the way to the top. My boy was looking very dapper, and he's a great commentator. His honesty is always
I think
welcomed, and it's loved.
yeah, he's found his
And
stride.
that's
He's
just no
really
offense to Raw.
since
I
that
agree.
Century tournament at the beginning of the season, he has really figured this thing out, and I'm really enjoying watching him and listening to him mostly on the telecast.
Yeah,
And it's like he just kind of fits right in. Doesn't just give some excitement, some insight that we haven't been hearing. Without the kind of old man flavor. So I've been digging some Kiz on the broadcast when he's gotten out. So not
facts. And
not
he's
that he
very
winds up his
likable.
career anytime soon. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, not that he was winding up his career anytime soon. Still going to get some free money. Still going to get him a top 30 finish because he knows that that's his lane. He's already admitted that too. And that's the thing. He done already admitted to it. But I think one of the best parts about Kisner is he doesn't go too far with his stories. He doesn't go too far with his personal involvement. Again, just not overstepping his boundaries. Like the thing with Nota Begay is always going to refer to Tiger. We know that. That's his stick. That's what he's going to do. Cole knows when I was out on the tour, this is how it went. Kids, he going to get straight to the point. Man, I talked to him the other day, and he was telling me this. Or I'm not too familiar with him, but, every time I've been in passing, he's been a cool guy. Or such and such and such. Like the situation with Brian Harman. Literal perfect example. Man, I talked to Brian Harman about it the other day. He don't even like doing the waggle. He's trying to figure it out too. But as a golfer, you're not going to go until you're ready. And that's the honesty that he presents that we need more of. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We know Harman's battling that because who really, dude, if you're a golfer, some people are, just, politely, some of our crowd is just, support. But when you're over something and it's something that you're like nervous about, it takes you a while to get it out. That's what Brian Harman is going through right now. But, it's still slow play and it's still something he needs to work through. And I think, again, Brian Harman doing his best work, but kids, very, transparent with what's going on behind the scenes as well. Like, thankfully, we already knew that, but because what golfer really wants to wild? I'm serious. I don't ever want to sit over the golf ball that long in my life. It gives me anxiety, right, to sit over the golf ball like that. I can't do it, man. I can't. But yeah, other than that, I mean, I don't have any. I don't know. I don't have really anything off of that because the PGA Tour is such a they always do this. Ain't nothing else going on right now. What else is going on?
Yeah.
DP World Tour is not going on.
And
LPGA is not going on.
Yeah, people don't compete against the players, and that's cool. I mean, it is what it is, and we'll be back in next week for the Valspar, which it'll be interesting to see who's going to tee it up for
Snake
that.
Pit.
But they say Spieth.
What?
Go ahead.
Spieth is going to play probably. Spieth should play.
I
if
think
that's
so.
what you were saying. Yes.
So yeah,
maybe
so I'm
JT.
interested to see the field for the Valspar. Yeah, JT and Spieth have played the last couple of years, so I'm looking forward to that. Like I said, I feel like now we've kind of we're in the home stretch. We're 4 weeks away from the Masters. That I'm ready. Like I feel like golf season now is finally in full, no pun intended, full swing. Like legit, we're here. We're kind of building up. We saw Tiger drop out of the players, so we're not going to see him more than likely until the Masters. So just kind of anticipating where things are going to go. And yeah, I mean we don't have to force this. We're gonna be back next week. Hopefully, all technical difficulties sorted through and whatnot on my end at least. So, Bearder Bros Golf Show. I'm Rod.
And I'm Marcus.
Catch y'all next week. Peace.